In the early days of the Third Age, when the shadow of Sauron loomed ever larger over Middle-earth, Gandalf the Grey arrived in the land. He was not a king or a warlord, but a humble guide, clad in gray robes, carrying his staff, and walking with a quiet purpose. He was an agent of the Valar, sent to help the Free Peoples resist Sauron, but his role was not to rule or dominate. Instead, Gandalf was to offer wisdom, inspiration, and counsel, helping others to recognize their own strength and rise against the dark powers. As Gandalf the Grey, he spent his time traveling, listening, and advising. He played a pivotal role in uniting various factions, men, dwarves, elves, and hobbits, and building trust through subtlety and personal connections. Rather than commanding armies or demanding allegiance, Gandalf inspired those he met to believe in themselves, as seen with Bilbo Baggins, who, with Gandalf's encouragement, took part in the adventure that led to the reclaiming of Erebor. He was a figure of humility, his wisdom evident, but his power, though immense, was often used only when necessary. His approach was indirect but impactful, focusing on planting seeds of hope rather than wielding force. His ring Narya symbolized this quiet yet powerful role, as it allowed him to encourage and inspire action in the hearts of others. Gandalf's magic was subtle and restrained. While Saruman, the leader of the Astari, pursued dominance and power, Gandalf the Grey worked tirelessly behind the scenes, uncovering the truth of Sauron's return and warning others of the looming threat. His influence was felt not through domination, but through wisdom and encouragement. His presence helped forge alliances, from the forming of the Fellowship of the Ring to the encouragement of Aragorn's rise as the rightful heir to Gondor. His strength was not in the might of armies, but in his ability to unite and empower others. In the depths of Moria, it was Gandalf's voice that urged Frodo to keep going, and it was Gandalf's presence that ensured the Fellowship stayed strong. Yet, as much as Gandalf the Grey helped shape the course of history, he was still a humble figure, a mentor, not a ruler. His journey of transformation had yet to begin. Everything changed when the Fellowship ventured into the mines of Moria. Here, in the ancient halls, they awoke Durin's Bane, a fearsome Balrog of Morgoth. This creature, once a Maya spirit like Gandalf, had been corrupted and transformed into a terrifying force of darkness. Gandalf stood alone to face this ancient terror. His words, "You cannot pass," were not just a challenge to the Balrog, but a stand against the encroaching darkness that threatened all of Middle-earth. In an act of great courage, Gandalf shattered the bridge with a strike of his staff, sending the Balrog falling into the abyss. But as the creature fell, it lashed out with its fiery whip, pulling Gandalf into the depths with it. The battle raged for days. Gandalf and the Balrog fought in the dark places of the world, eventually emerging on the peak of Xirac Sigil, where Gandalf struck the final blow, defeating the creature. But the cost was high. Gandalf's own life was the price of victory. Gandalf's death, however, was not the end of his journey. His spirit passed beyond the world, and the Valar, recognizing the importance of his mission, sent him back, reborn. When Gandalf awoke, he was no longer Gandalf the Grey, but Gandalf the White, a transformed being with greater power, clarity, and purpose. Where Gandalf the Grey had been a quiet advisor, Gandalf the White was a figure of authority and leadership. He assumed Saruman's former role as the head of the Astari, and in his new guise, he took on the responsibility of leading the Free Peoples in their final struggle against Sauron. His robes of pure white symbolized his renewal and the power granted to him by the Valar. He was no longer the wandering guide. He was now the leader Middle-earth needed. As Gandalf the White, he wasted no time asserting his authority. His first major act was to free King Theoden of Rohan from Saruman's spell, breaking the hold of Grima Wormtongue, and rallying the Rohirrim to defend Helm's Deep. He then led them to victory with a timely charge that turned the tide of battle. Gone was the Gandalf who subtly guided from the sidelines. The White Wizard was now a decisive commander, inspiring courage and unity among all the Free Peoples. While Gandalf's power as the White Wizard far surpassed his former self, he did not wield it for personal gain or domination. Instead, he used it to empower others, to support Aragorn in claiming his throne as King of Gondor, and to guide Frodo on his journey to destroy the One Ring. His strength lay in his ability to inspire others to greatness, and in his wisdom, which guided Middle-earth through its darkest days. Gandalf's journey from gray to white is a story of profound transformation. As Gandalf the Grey, he symbolized humility and wisdom, a figure who worked behind the scenes to unite the free peoples and encourage them to stand together. But when the world called for leadership, Gandalf became Gandalf the White, strong, authoritative, and decisive, embodying renewal and hope. This change was not merely in appearance or power. Gandalf's growth mirrored the themes of Tolkien's work, of redemption, renewal, and the importance of standing firm against darkness. As Gandalf the Grey, he was the quiet guide, but as Gandalf the White, he became the leader who stood at the forefront of Middle-earth's greatest battle. In the end, Gandalf's legacy was not one of sheer might, but of hope and inspiration. His story reminds us that even in the darkest times, renewal is possible, and that true strength is not found in power alone, but in the wisdom to guide others toward victory.